to drive away from agents who were crowding around her car, which they said was blocking their way. Footage of the incident shows a masked immigration and customs enforcement agent fired 3 times into the Honda SUV, which then hurtles out of control and smashes into stationary vehicles. As horrified onlookers hurl abuse at the federal officers. Her bloodied body is then seen slumped in the crashed vehicle. Aditya, back to you on this.
Well, absolutely. This is strict. This reflects the fact that how Trump administration is so hard as far as this immigration stance is concerned. Definitely, this shooting of these women by the immigration officer is very, very unjustified. And now, due to this in Minneapolis, as you mentioned, Vaishali, protests are breaking out against this killing. Definitely, there could be, political instability, internal instability within the United States, considering the fact that the hardcore policies that are being, taken, policy decisions that are taken by the US President Donald Trump. Indeed, immigration is one thing which the Trump had very, very hard. They are calling these illegal aliens, and the stance on these illegal aliens is very, very harsh. They will by any hooks and means, they will drive out all these illegal immigrants. Those that have been living in the United States. And this shooting incident is very, very of a serious nature. Currently, the Minneapolis is investigating the entire shooting incident, in detail, and the preliminary investigation is going on. So it needs to be seen how things unfold as far as this shooting incident in Minneapolis is concerned. Vaishali.
All right. Aditya, stay on with me. Now, post a horrific shooting, now huge protests have erupted in Minnesota against ICE shooting of Renee Good, a young woman who was brutally shot by a U.S. immigration officer. As you can see, the people are filled on the streets and enraged by the incident. All right, Aditya, so we've shown these visuals to our viewers. What more can you tell us on this?
Well, definitely, this is another incident that's coming from the Iowa state of the United States. And definitely the same thing has happened, which happened in Minneapolis, this shooting of the women by the immigration officer. So this entire hard stance of the immigration policy is being followed across all the states of the United States, which is causing the people of the United States against the Trump administration, because the American people have the habit of protesting on these issues, definitely because democracy is very core to them, and such decisions by the Trump administration, such shootings are absolutely not justified. However, now it needs to be seen. There could be, as per some reports, that there could be some efforts by the one section of Democrats, to get President Trump impeached. However, the 2/3 majority is required for the impeachment of any U.S. president. And at this juncture, there is a majority of the Republicans in the House of Representatives and Senate. So indeed, this makes it a very complex process. These shootings by the immigration officers of the civilians on an apprehension that he or she may be an illegal alien who's been living in the United States is not at all justified, and it needs to be seen from here on how things unfold in this scenario. Vishali, back to you.
All right, Aditya. Now, thanks for joining me. Now, protests have been so large over the shooting that now we can see visuals coming from New York as well, where there are hundreds of people holding banners and cards on the streets which say statements like, "We need regime change." And protesters in New York called to topple the Trump regime. These protests have increased a lot, and the people are also gathering in many places and seem very enraged as well. Let's take a look at these visuals on your screens.
We must be much more outraged than we already are. We haven't begun to scratch the surface of how outraged we must be to topple this regime. Do you understand that? So I want you to go home tonight. I don't want you to be happy that you went to a rally, even though it's a good. We're not. We must be much more outraged.
Aditya is back with me. Aditya, what more can you tell us?
Well, absolutely. It is very, very obvious that protests in response to these killings in Minneapolis and Iowa are definitely protests are definitely expected to get further fuel because the angry protesters will also create a situation of law and order in these two states, especially indeed because this is very unprecedented. In the history of the United States, such killings by the immigration officers has never happened. Such killings of the civilians by the immigration officer is not at all normal. It's a very abnormal thing that is happening in the United States. As due to these tariffs, already there is a resentment among the people of America against the Trump administration, and now this killing of just an apprehension that he or she might be an illegal alien. This will really create a further law and order problem in the United States, be it in whichever state, California, Texas, and other states that you name. Definitely, at this juncture, the situation is not so looking very good because these immigration officers are, it appears that all these immigration officers who have shot these two women, one in Minneapolis and other in Iowa, seems that there is a shoot an order given to these immigration officers, on an apprehension that a person might be an illegal alien living in the United States. So indeed, it is a situation that needs to be seen and monitored very, very carefully because the human rights groups are also closely watching and monitoring this situation. Vishali.
Right, Aditya, thanks for joining me. And with that, we're slipping into a short commercial break.